Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are here with what promises to be a very, very controversial video. I am finally going to attempt to rank all of Quentin Tarantino's movies from what I consider to be the worst to what I consider to be the best, and I'm going to do it as subjectively and objectively as I can from a filmmaker and writer perspective, and as a massive fan of Tarantino. I'm not sure there's any right answers here, but we're going to give it a shot. Pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so ranking Tarantino, this isn't easy. This is not going to be easy. I have rewatched all of the movies multiple times over the past couple of months. People keep asking me for this list, and now that I have all of the limited edition steelbooks from Lionsgate Limited and the Inglourious Basterds release from Arrow Video, I decided it was finally time. I've rewatched these movies over the past couple of weeks, and I just keep going back and forth. Like my top 5 or 6 are pretty clear, and my top one has been 100% clear no matter what. But others, man, I just kind of keep going back and forth. So to me, the bottom is clear, the top is clear. It's in the middle that the shuffling happens, and I'm just a big fan. But I try to kind of look at it from a filmmaker's perspective too. That's what I try to bring you guys here as an indie filmmaker. Now, that's how Tarantino started with Reservoir Dogs. He still had a pretty good budget, right, for a first-time indie filmmaker. But we're just going to get to it. I'm doing them as 10, right, because I am splitting Kill Bill apart into 1 and 2. I'm not doing it as one bloody affair. And then you have Death Proof in there. So I'm doing it that way. So just a disclaimer on there. Technically, he considers it 9 films. I'm splitting it as 10. So let's go ahead and start with number 10. I think this was a clear bottom for me. And this list is going to be controversial probably every step of the way. But at the bottom for me is definitely Kill Bill Volume 2. This is from 2004, and I get it, man. He intended this to be one long movie. To him, it is one long movie. That's what he considers it. But whether it was one long movie or a second movie, I just don't think this needs to exist. Like, I feel like the first movie kind of, it could have ended right there. You didn't really need all of this other. And to be honest, the Kill Bill style of movies, like what inspired him, the old like Japanese martial art, like the martial arts films and stuff that he borrowed from and was inspired by, I'm just not into those type of movies. I just really am not. So like it's lost on me a little bit. Like I was a big Sho Kosugi fan in the 80s, and I love stuff like Enter the Ninja and Ninja 3: The Domination and American Ninja and stuff like that. But the stuff that he pulls from, I just was never into, and these movies feel a bit self-indulgent, like maybe somebody should have reined him back and said, hey, we're not making a cartoon here. But Kill Bill Part 2, Volume 2 comes in at the bottom of the list here for me. Now, next on the list is the only one that I don't have a physical copy of. It's 2007's Death Proof. Now, this is part of that Grindhouse double feature. But if you take Death Proof as a standalone, I mean, you got Kurt Russell, so that always elevates for me because I'm such a big Kurt Russell fan. But the whole movie, I love the aesthetic, right? I love the aesthetic of it. It just doesn't do it for me. Like I saw plenty of like Grindhouse and like B-style movies, like at the drive-in theater. Like I saw Ice Pirates, stuff like that as a kid. I saw Ghostbusters at the drive-in theater. So I get the Convoy, like stuff like that. So I get the idea of that feel. I went for that in a movie that I made, Realm of Souls, like totally drive-in grindhousey, and I love the aesthetic. The movie just, it's like purposely all gas, no brakes, and it just loses a little something for me. So I can't rank it any higher when his filmography is so tough. So Death Proof for me comes in at number 9. Now at number 8 on this list is The Other Side. It's Kill Bill Volume 1. And while much better, in my opinion, than Kill Bill Volume 2, it can't go any higher than this to me. Again, for all those reasons I mentioned before, it is better than 1. I think I like it better overall than Death Proof. But again, I mean, there's scenes where it's like, okay, in come like 200, swordsmen and all this stuff. And it's just like, dude, it's a ridiculous cartoon. Like literally the movie Bowfinger, which I believe came before this, like does a parody with scenes like that from those old movies. So I just can't get it in the jumping to cartoon. Like there's a lot of stuff that it's just not my favorite. So, but it's a fun ride overall. So it's higher than the other two, but Kill Bill Volume 1 from 2003 comes in at what's at 10.98 on the list. Here's where we're about to get even more controversial, because coming in at number 7 on my list is Reservoir Dogs from 1992. I've always liked this movie. As a writer, man, I respect the hell out of Quentin Tarantino's dialogue. I respect how he got the movie made. He got Harvey Keitel interested, and then that got him the rest of the budget. But I think this movie is overrated. I always have. It's pointless. I mean, when somebody, like I've used the words like before to describe a situation that is pointless and is going to end up bad in the end with nobody winning. I'm like, I'll always say it's going to be Reservoir Dogs by the end of this shit. And I really feel like the movie has no point. It has no point other than you have crackling dialogue, overly loquacious, like mobsters and stuff. And I love it, man. I love that, like nowadays you could, like this might be considered for part of it to be almost mumblecore, right? That derogatory term. I love it. I love the dialogue, and I think it's great dialogue. But man, I don't see a point to the movie. I never have. Like it's smart. It's amazingly acted, directed, all that stuff. It's just, I don't see a point to the movie. So it just can't go higher because there are some just absolute bangers on the rest of this list. So for me, Reservoir Dogs comes in at what's that, 10, 9, 8 at number 7 on the list. Yeah, I didn't write it down. I've been fighting back and forth with myself on this list. And here's where the like my favorite films of his come in. From this point on, except for number 1, which was clear to me, for me, the rest of these I could just watch over and over and over again. These are like my favorites, and it's splitting hairs for me. So the first up on that list at number 6 is The Hateful Eight. Again, you got Kurt Russell in here. You got Jennifer Jason Leigh, won an Oscar for this. You have everybody getting stuck in the middle of a snowstorm at Minnie's Haberdashery. You have this shot in 70 millimeter. You have the Roadshow edition, right? All this kind of stuff. Cannot wait to see this in 4K. The acting, again, the dialogue, the whole suspicious situation, the motley crew of characters. I am such a sucker for that kind of thing. I love to do that kind of stuff myself. I love an ensemble interacting together. There's nothing I don't like about this movie. It's just the others I like better. Like at this point, it's degrees of how much I love them. So I really, no one came up here without a damn good reason. I love this movie. I think it's going to be incredible on 4K. You could argue that maybe he took Reservoir Dogs and just reset it in some of his other movies and just reset them in more of a traditional type Western landscape here. But I like this movie a lot, and it kicks off the ones that I have a hard time splitting up against. So Hateful Eight for me comes in at number 6. This leaves our top 5, right? And this is hard for me. And this is one, I'm going to tell you, this next one, until I rewatched it a couple times recently, this one would have been a little bit lower for me. But man, as I've gotten older and made more films and wrote and all that stuff and become a more seasoned fan of movies, this is one of his best movies. And there's no doubt in my mind, and I'm talking about Jackie Brown from 1997. Now, this is one that he adapted from a book. He doesn't do that kind of thing often. But Pam Grier, and it just totally blanked on the guy who plays the bail bondsman, John Forrester, something like that. I just totally blanked on his name. They steal this movie. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson's in this movie. You got Robert De Niro in this movie. You got Bridget Fonda in this movie. Chris Tucker makes a little appearance. But Pam Grier and, what is his name? Just totally forgot. Robert Foster. As the bail bondsman, just amazing acting performances in this movie. And the way the caper goes down at the end, beautiful, a thing of beauty. I absolutely love it. This movie is so good. The colors, the aesthetic, the feel of it. It's like set in the 90s when it happens, but there is something that feels very late 70s, early 80s to it all. Unless I messed up and that's not when it's set. But I mean, they reference Johnny Cochran and stuff. So in that, so it has to be set in the 90s. But man, there's just something about the aesthetic to this that I love, and the script and the acting. Probably the most underrated movie in his filmography, in my opinion, is Jackie Brown. It cracks the top 5. It comes in at number 5. Just the more I watch it, the more I like it. And at number 4, and man, these had a lot of switching back and forth here in the top 5. At number 4, I'm going with Django Unchained. This is a spaghetti Western taken to just crazy over the top levels. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the subversive soundtrack. One of my favorite scenes in cinema is when Christoph Waltz and Jamie Foxx are buying him clothes, and he's saddling up his horse, and he gets his final overall look here, and they ride off, and it's all to Jim Croce's I Got a Name. First of all, I'm a big Jim Croce fan, but second of all, to take that and put it in a period piece like this and have it just, oh my gosh, they ride off into the sunset to I Got a Name. Holy shit, that is just epic. And Christoph Waltz in here, just absolutely love him as the bounty hunter. And I mean, yeah, maybe it takes too far. He's teaching him how to shoot up bad, white people. I've seen a lot of that criticism, but it's like it's cartoon over the top violence at this point. It's not realistic, right? And then I mean, Leo is playing so over the top. If you're looking at it to take it seriously, man, you've come to the wrong place. It's supposed to be just so super over the top with Candyland. And man, I just think it's a crazy ride. It's my buddy Lee. It's one of his favorite movie of all time. He'd watch it to death. I mean, I can't really fault him for it. This is so much fun. Django comes in at number 4 on my list from 2012. That movie's 13 years old already. Crazy. I'm about to piss everyone off right here. I'm about to piss everyone off. It's hard for me to break up the top 3, but coming in at number 3 is Pulp Fiction. I know. A lot of you guys are like, what? Pulp Fiction is number 1 all time. It is an amazing movie. I love it. It influenced me in so many ways. Hell, my movie Creature Feature is told out of sequence and comes back together as a horror anthology. It ties together much like Pulp Fiction does. And I love this movie. It's iconic. All that stuff. I was like 15 when it came out, so I was all into film, and man, brother, I was sold. And I love this movie. Absolutely love this movie. There's nothing negative about this movie for me. But I don't think it's as good as the first two on this list. So you just got to split hairs somewhere. And sometimes it just comes down to subjective taste. And I mean, honestly, I think number one is clear number one. But I think it's clear even over this. And I think Tarantino even thinks so. But I love this movie. You can't. It's awesome. It's iconic. It's pop culture, royalty, and it will be always. Just change things so much, and absolutely love this film. But Pulp Fiction for me comes in at number 3, and at number 2 is Inglourious Basterds. I like this movie better than a lot of people, maybe. Although, as I was doing this, I realized that maybe it does come higher on a lot of lists. Now, I was a history teacher. Besides being a writer, I was a history teacher and stuff at one point. I love World War II stuff. I love the historical fiction aspect. I love the cinematography, the story in this movie, the performances in this movie. This movie is just super underrated to me. I love this movie. Brad Pitt in here, Christoph Waltz, Fassbender, like there is not really a weak point in this movie to me. And the opening ticking time bomb scene with everybody under the floorboards and it, like, that is a masterclass in how to do a ticking time bomb scene. Like, something is wrong. That's what they call it. Something's wrong. It has an expiration date on it. And then when they pan down and show you those people underneath the floorboards, now you're in on it. Now you are in on it 100%, and it ratchets everything up, and the whole dialogue and the scene and building that tension to just damn unbearable levels. Holy crap, it's a masterclass. It is a masterclass, and that's from a filmmaking standpoint. But as a fan, if you don't love that, I mean, check your pulse rate. I love Inglourious Basterds. For me, it is this high, and I'm not apologizing for it. It comes in at number 2. And that just leaves number 1 for me and for Tarantino, who says this is his number 1 as well. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is best filmmaking. It's actually not particularly close. As far as from a filmmaking standpoint, a script standpoint, Jackie Brown is close on script, but from a character standpoint, a filmmaking standpoint, a storytelling standpoint, a capture a time period standpoint, nothing comes close to this movie. I love this artwork too. The guy who did this, his name is Stevens. I can't remember his name, but man, he does some cool artwork here. But man, This captures everything I also love about Hollywood, the golden age of Hollywood, the golden era, everything Hollywood is supposed to be. Michael Eisner, when Disney opened Disney's Hollywood Studios, and at the time it was MGM, he said that it celebrated a Hollywood that never was, but always will be. And I think that is perfect. Like, a lot of this Hollywood existed, but a lot of this golden era of Hollywood, the idea of going and being in pictures and that aesthetic, like that 60s, late 60s, early 70s aesthetic of Hollywood with the colors and the way the posters were and the way movies were and all of that. It's more in our hearts and our minds as a feeling and concept probably than it was. Now, don't get me wrong, it was all there. That's what it existed from. But it's so enduring that there's different times in Hollywood, the late 60s through early 70s, and then the way back golden era, like the 20s through the 40s and early 50s. That time period, and then 80s is when it exploded, and there's a whole different way of culture about it. But this captures that in between time that had the best of what came before of the golden age of Hollywood and what was coming with the explosion of the 80s and pop culture and everything. This captures that like no other film. I can watch this movie just for that aesthetic, just for those feels, those vibes. And then you throw in the fact my man Marty Cove has a little scene in here. I love that. He actually worked on it more days and it got cut down. That's just the way Hollywood is. I love Margot Robbie in here. I love Cliff Booth in here. Leonardo's Rick Dalton is good, but I mean, to me, Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie steal the show a little bit. And I just love them. Like, the characters I could hang around with forever. The world building I could hang around forever. The vibes just leap off the screen into you 100%. And then you get Tarantino subverting the expectations of his own films in a way with kind of a happy ending that is a wish fulfillment of how we wish something would have happened differently. And that's the power of movies. That's the magic of storytelling. You can change things and show what you wish they had been like. And I think the idea of this captures a Hollywood that never was but always will be. Certainly it was there, but it captures the idealized, the idyllic version of that, and it does so fucking flawlessly. And I love this movie. Tarantino also says that this is his best film. I think that's why he's been so delayed in making another one, because I think this is going to be hard to top. He's going to do one more. He said he's going to wait till his kid's like 6 or 7 so that they can be a part of it all. But, technically he considers this his 9th film. I have it 10th. I have 10 here because I split Kill Bill up. But just an epic movie. I'll fight for it as my number 1. And, my top 5 or 6 here, I just absolutely love. But Once Upon a Time is one of the greatest pieces of filmmaking in ever to me. I absolutely love this movie, and Tarantino thinks so too. So there you go. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my number 1. That is my list. Let the weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth begin. I am ready. I'm ready for the pitchforks to come after me and the torches in the comments and everything else telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm stupid. You call yourself a filmmaker and you don't have Pulp Fiction 1, all that kind of stuff. Like, yep, I do. I call myself a filmmaker because I've been doing it for 20 years. I got published scripts. I've got movies out there, everything else. But I'm also a giant fan. And as a fan, I can have an opinion from that perspective too. So I'm ready to defend my position. I love these movies. I don't dislike any of his movies. I don't really care to watch Kill Bill Volume 2 particularly very much. And Death Proof is like, eh. The rest of them I'll watch a lot. Reservoir Dogs, I feel like it's kind of, you see it like once or twice and it's not really worth your time to me. It just doesn't go anywhere. But my top 6 here, I could watch them every day. So I love these movies, and that is my list. But let me know what your rankings are. I'm sure they are different. But that's okay too. We can all have a discussion. Just be nice. All right. And that's what I got for you. If you enjoyed this, make sure you check out all my movie recommendation lists. You check out my physical media news, my 4K reviews, all that stuff, because I do it all here and I do it all from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. And I just enjoy doing it so much. And if you do, like and subscribe. It helps me get found out there and spread the pop culture word. If you want to help support what I do here, you can join at my Patreon link or right here on YouTube. Couple dollars a month, you're going to get your name in lights, Hollywood style, on every single video. You're going to get some behind the scenes looking at my filmmaking. So like short films I've done, anatomy of a scene where I put raw clips and then show you the finished scene. You're going to get members only videos, all kinds of stuff. It's like a backstage behind the scenes pass all the time. And I really do appreciate it. It helps out the channel. And so does checking out the Amazon links. I usually try to link everything. Takes you to my Amazon store. takes you to these movies so you can grab them, and that helps me out. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.